Successful Minds with Patricia Baronowski-Schneider, the show that takes you around the world to share interviews with some of the most successful and relevant people on the planet. Hear their stories and get the most important business lessons they have learned on their road to success and get exclusive advice on how to implement their success into your life and business. Successful Minds with Patricia Baronowski-Schneider is brought to you by the Strategic Advisor Board and your host, Patricia Baronowski-Schneider.
Hello and welcome back to Successful Minds. I'm your host, Patty Baronowski-Schneider. Today I'm joined by Dan Mallin of Lucy AI. Lucy, your AI-powered enterprise answer engine, not search engine. So thank you for joining us, Dan, and tell us a little bit about yourself and your business.
Patty, thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm we're really excited to share. We're doing some fun and unique things in the world, and companies are just inundated with data. And we use a iceberg kind of analogy where you know what data is there, and really you only know the tip of the iceberg inside of a company. And when you talk to companies, I just ask one question: how many PowerPoints are created every day at your company? And then of course it's thousands, tens of thousands. Mm-hmm. Some people even more. and so when you think about all of the money spent in converting data to knowledge, mm-hmm. and knowledge workers creating those PowerPoints or PDFs or Word documents or audio files, video files, all that kind of content, and then the amazing thing happens, which is they store it. And the company pays to store it for, let's just call it 7 years. Right. And the likelihood that it ever gets used again diminishes at 30 days to be 90% likely never to be touched. And at 90 days, it's like 98+%. Nobody ever uses it again. And so what Lucy does is she attaches to those data stores, SharePoint, Box, Dropbox, Salesforce, SAP, wherever you keep those files and data. Right. And she just reads, watches, and listens to them, creates an index, and then you can ask natural language questions, and she brings back answers. Wow. And just saving exorbitant amounts of time of people, and we'll say people energy is two parts: my time, and then the other thing that happens is I disturbed 5, 10, 20 people trying to find my answer. Right. So if anybody said, hey, I don't even know how to find it, or I don't know where it is, let me ask this group of 20 in Slack or Teams. Mm-hmm. I go, hey, who knows where this is? And so now I'm not just using my time, but I'm disturbing others to find that same content. Right.
No, it's true, because like even with me, you can only store, thank God a little bit with the cloud, but most of my stuff, the computer only holds so much. So I've got X amount of external hard drives going on also. And, they go bad, so it's kind of like, even when I'm looking for stuff, I'm like, I don't even know which external it's in at this point. And, was that one outdated? So yeah, having it in one simple space will definitely save a lot of time and headache.
Well, it's funny because I'm the same way. I know I built a presentation 6 months ago, and I can't find my own content, let alone a work group or a team, a division, or the entire organization.
Now, what inspired you to create Lucy, and what problems does it solve? So you kind of answered that a little bit, but.
Well, it's funny, the inspiration. So. My partners and I we're serial entrepreneurs, and so we were selling our last company, and as we're preparing for sale, we're like, okay, what are we going to do next? Mm-hmm. And so it was a thoughtful process of as this AI was coming of age, a handful of years ago. We're like, okay, how would we apply this, and what do we know? And so we started looking at the problems inside organizations. We'd always sold and worked for the Fortune 1000 kind of companies. So right. we think in that magnitude. And so we're like, okay, we know people can't find information. We understand that this will apply and be available. 6 years ago, we had a science project. Over the past we'll call it 3 years, we've really had a great product market fit. We've got unbelievable organizations using the tool, and it's really, really exciting to see Lucy mature and grow. In addition to, because it really is a product. And again, years ago it would take a minute to get an answer. Now we're 5 seconds or less. And again, doing what a team of 100 people in a year couldn't do, we can do in seconds now. So
it's amazing. Now, what's been the most rewarding experience of running your own startup?
Well, as I said, I'm a serial entrepreneur. We're serial entrepreneurs. So I love the process of kind of creating and incubating concepts, creating companies, just unbelievable teams that we have assembled, watching our people grow. So in our history, again, we've done 4 or 5 of these startups, but I have 40 or 50 plus entrepreneurs that have started other things and have their own transactions. And create. So the best thing is watching not only our product and company grow, but watching the people that made that success succeed with us and then go on. And I just love watching I'll call it the dashboard of all of them and the cumulative things they have done. And not that we made them into what they are in any way. Hopefully we just made them a little better. They learned from the experiences they got to have with us. And periodically we get to financial rewards too, because they come back for investments.
Nice. So what challenges have you faced in developing and launching Lucy?
As we go on any entrepreneurial journey, there's so many rocky roads and things that happen and opportunities. Early on, we started with IBM Watson, as it was the only thing that you could buy in the kind of AI space, the commercialization post the Jeopardy, the Jeopardy win and other things, the cool things they were doing. But as they were on their own entrepreneurial journey inside IBM, they kept deprecating and using different APIs. And so slowly we migrated to our own, to our own tech stack. And so it was an awesome partnership early on. But today, we have a Lucy product that is we'll call it a standalone in the world. Nice. But it's been a fun journey.
Nice. Now, what advice would you give to entrepreneurs looking to leverage AI and GPT technologies?
Isn't that call us? What are you talking about?
Exactly right.
And I joke, but we do have some capabilities to help people out. One of my business partners, Scott Libben, and I have been founders of one of the largest entrepreneurial business competitions. The state of Minnesota has something called the Minnesota Cup, mncup.com. And so the Minnesota Cup is all about helping entrepreneurs. So we've been helping, I think it's approaching like 20,000 entrepreneurs that we've helped through the process over 17, 18 years. And actually we're launching the, I think, 18th or 19th Minnesota Cup in next week. So it's an awesome thing. As it relates to AI and GPT and other technologies, be careful of just flashy technology, right? So everybody in the world is saying, hey, I think it's the 16th announcement this week of GPT in technology, and Slack announced it yesterday. More Microsoft announcements this week with their CRM and other technologies. Everybody is just tacking on the letters GPT.
Right.
GPT is cool, right? It's cool, but what does it do and what does it do for you? Make sure you understand its business purposes and not just the hype, because there's a lot of stuff it can, and there's can do, and there's a lot of stuff it can't do.
Right.
AI is a little bit more solid in the things that it does, but so much of it is going to be about about the data, the things that you're doing. How do you improve different processes? So
Right.
there's unbelievable things happening, and if you think about reading a X-ray and then having an AI look for anomalies in the X-ray, I mean, it's awesome at stuff like that, right? And same things with big data sets. And you look at the data, and again, what can we learn from it? But what can we learn from what's missing and how it looks?
Right.
And again, we've applied this all to a very specific subset of data, which is inside the company data, not the internet. The data that you own, license, and already have, and try to make sure that you can leverage it and use it. So find that product market fit, enable it with GPT, enable it with AI, but it can't be about AI or GPT, because nobody's buying AI and GPT. People are buying the business functions that they provide.
Right. Well, it's funny with GPT, like everybody always says, oh, it's going to take over their jobs. It's going to take, it's funny. Did a random question. Now, my name, Patricia Baronowski-Schneider, it's not an everyday name. So I said, who is Patricia Baronowski-Schneider? First, it said I was some doctor who worked in the health field and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, never. So I said, no, Patricia Baronowski-Schneider, CEO of Christine Advisors. And then it came on that I was someone from Russia who wrote a book. 3 times I asked it. 3 times it had something totally unrelated. And I was like, well, this is interesting. So yeah, like you said, implementing it into something else. Yeah.
The hardest part with Chat GPT today, and again, it's working against a corpus of knowledge, which is Wikipedia and the internet, kind of a subset of the internet.
Right.
And so one example of what you're just saying is, there aren't Wikipedia pages for every person. So therefore, it only found things that had, or people that had Wikipedia pages.
Right.
The problem that people are discovering is that, I will say this very specifically, ChatGPT answers authoritatively, whether it's right or wrong.
Right.
Right. And I've done lots of tests, and we're doing some really cool stuff. And I should say, at Lucy, we've been working with OpenAI for 2 years now. And we've had generative AI, which is the concepts of what ChatGPT is a product in. But we've been using generative AI in our product for over a year.
Wow. Nice.
So when ChatGPT came out, which is some cool new functions against a different corpus,
right.
But our experience, we already get it. We're already there. We're already using it.
Right.
And actually, our clients are coming back to us going, asking GPT questions, and our answers. It's already in Lucy, not Chat GPT, just to be clear.
Right.
But the idea is we're generative AI, because what happens is you ask a question in Lucy, and because you're attached to 1,000 different sources of data in your organization, maybe 800 different file repositories, SharePoints, different things, hundreds of licensed or third-party data, depending on where that comes from. And then also we enable structured data through dashboards like Power BI or Tableau or other systems you may have created. So what Lucy does is she finds the best 10 answers from all of those places, and she brings them back to you. But what she also does is then write a synopsis of the answers, so you get a single textual thing that says, here's the answer. And then, but that also enables, and this is where it gets crazy, does anybody use Teams or Slack? And so if you ask a question in Slack, and while you're asking the 20 people to help you find whatever that information is, just mention Lucy, and she'll respond in 5 seconds.
That's awesome.
It turns out she responds faster than everybody else. And so it gets the answers out and available. But the other thing is, we always provide kind of that validation reference of where the data came from. And this is what ChatGPT and other technologies don't do. We're saying, hey, we looked at these 3 documents. Here's the answer. You can click here and look at the documents if you need to. Right. And so it's a big difference in that authoritative approach to what happens.
Right.
And so we don't want to just say, this is the answer. We say, hey, this is the answer. First of all, it comes from your own data company.
Right.
It's your data, not the internet. And not only that, here are the documents that became this answer.
Wow.
So if you need to look at it, not only that, we say on page 68 of this 100-page PDF and slide 32 of this 68 slide PowerPoint and this Tableau dashboard, right? Made this answer. Right. So we don't just point you to the document, we point you to the answer in the document.
That's amazing. Saves a lot of legwork. Nice. Now,
absolutely.
Yeah. Now, how do you see knowledgeable management evolving in the coming years?
Well, so, this category of knowledge management is kind of funny because it has existed for decades, right? And it used to be a librarian function inside an organization, the research library. And I, in the 90s, worked at 3M, and we had a research library, and I actually helped enable some of the technologies that they used,
right.
Back in the day. So knowledge management, and there've been knowledge people management, and subject matter experts, and all kinds of things that we've always done. And even the subject matter experts, you'd think, are resistant to knowledge management, but it turns out they love it. Because if I'm a subject matter expert, the thing I don't want to do is answer the same question again and again.
Right.
And so what happens, and even in a feedback loop, we had a client said, okay, ask a question of Lucy. If the answer is not there, we route it to a subject matter expert, right. And the subject matter expert fills it in Lucy, creates the content. Right. So next time that person gets the answer, but then next time everybody gets the answer. And so it's building the corpus of knowledge at the same time. Right. But subject matter experts want to actually expand and explore and do thought process things, not be a help desk to answer questions.
Right.
And so very, very different. And so I think that's a big part of it. The other thing you'll see is these chat tools that create knowledge workflows. So, when someone says they have an AI chat tool, what they're doing is creating answers to specific questions. Mm-hmm. So you might have 100 answers in there, and somebody has to create the answers and create a whole process around managing those answers.
Right.
But they don't answer questions beyond those 100 answers, 1,000 answers. I think, one of the biggest I've ever seen has 5,000 answers, right? But they have 20 people managing 5,000 answers on an ongoing basis so they can answer those questions, right, and be right and do all those things. And so one of the things, if you had that same kind of technology, and then you also had like a knowledge management system like Lucy, what happens is you don't have to manage 5,000 answers. You might have to manage 200, because some of them are really important that they get answered this way and not in AI. We want those answers. Right. But you then can manage the other 4,800 or 4,000 or whatever that number is just by asking Lucy. But there isn't a upward limit. It's not 4,000 answers, it's 400,000 answers. Wow. Because that's how many questions get asked. Right. And Lucy can answer them all, but only the ones that are required to be programmatic are done through that programmatic method. Wow. Huge cost savings and huge value add to organizations.
Yeah, for sure. Now, what do you think are the most important trends in AI and GPT that businesses should be aware of?
Trends. It's funny because GPT has been known maybe for 30 days to most of the world, right?
I know.
And as I said, we've been working with OpenAI for 2 years, so the trend is GPT. But again, I talked about a little bit in the entrepreneurial conversation. It's how and what is it going to do for me, and what are the right and wrong ways to use it. And let's talk about education, because there's so much concern that people are going to use it to write their papers or do things. We were all concerned, how are we going to do research if we can't, if kids use the internet? Well, first, and even going back, I'm an old man, but going backwards in school, and they would say, well, you can't use a calculator on the test because you might not always have a calculator with you.
Right.
Guess what?
No.
I always have a calculator with me.
Yeah.
and so we need to embrace the tools and teach people how to use them for their advantage.
Right.
And the act of doing the research isn't the value add. And so ChatGPT in its current state is an unbelievable research tool, right? Because I can say, hey, help me with, actually Guy Kawasaki,
Right.
entrepreneur, Art of the Start. And I had the honor of working with them at Apple in the 80s. So I'm a big fan and friend. And Guy just wrote a post saying, hey, ChatGPT has helped me with my next book. And it's, but it's all about research and finding quotes that match what he's trying to do and all these things. It's not writing his book,
Right.
but it's increasing his ability to write books and how many pages or words a day he can do. Not because he actually writes faster, because when he's trying to find something, it's finding things.
Right.
And I have a son in college, and he's already figured out great ways to, hey, help me figure some stuff out. And anybody who's read something that ChatGPT writes, if you hand that in, you're mistaken because it's not good.
Right.
But everybody needs an editor. Become your editor.
Right.
And the truth is that process will teach you. The kids, the students, the college students will learn in the process.
Right.
Using ChatGPT. And if they just hand in something that was written by it, everybody's going to know because it's repetitive and it's not, all things that will improve. But it's not about it's about speed and value add, and where is the value add in the process. And so starting with the editor, but also but the research assistant may be a little bit more concerned from a job perspective. Right, when you look at it, because I don't need the research assistant in the same light, because the same question I ask the research assistant, I can ask ChatGPT. But you still have to validate stuff, right? It's, as I said, there's no evidence. It's not that it's always right, but it's a time saver. And I might add, going all the way back to that encyclopedia, that information was in print and it could never change. You had to buy the new encyclopedia or look at the updated year volume to make sure the information's still accurate. Now, again, if you're researching dinosaurs, it's probably right. But if you're researching AI in the encyclopedia, it would have a different definition.
Right. Yeah, no, it is funny how when you see anything that ChatGPT writes, it is repetitive. And you're right that it's not 100%, because I remember I had a link for a bunch of conferences that I had to do for a client and had to research where they were, what days they were, and what it was about. So I figured, rather than me do all of this, let me just give it to ChatGPT. So good thing I checked it. Again, not realizing that it's only updated to 2021. So it came back with some information from like 1990s. And I was like, no more current. And then it came back with information still, it was like 2000, whatever. And I said, no, 2023. So the funny part is it won't say it's wrong. It won't say it doesn't know. It has to give an answer. So it gave me information that they're in Texas or in the state. That's what it's about. And I was like, oh, thank God. Good thing I looked. I'm like, no, it's in Florida on different days. I'm like, where did you even come up with this? So it's good to a point, but yeah.
Well, there's other really, there's some key important things about how ChatGPT works that make it really hard to implement as is inside a corporation or inside other purposes. And so the first answer is the information today is a repository of information. But they're opening up, OpenAI has announced that you can create your own corpus. But those corpuses are all or nothing today. So if I create a corpus, I then give whoever has access to it. Where Lucy, inside an organization, they may or may not have privileges to that information.
Right.
And so it's a really important differentiator, which is, except I can do this at all different, work groups and different user levels.
Right.
And again, two people asking the same question, if I have different data sets available to me, I get different answers.
Right.
I might still get the same, answer in general, but, it's about the privilege and the access to information and security, which is totally required in the corporate environment.
Right.
And then the other thing is, because you're doing large repositories, it's taking huge compute power to do what they do.
Right.
Huge compute power. And so, there are all kinds of estimates of how many millions a day they're spending in compute power to power ChatGPT.
Right.
And again, obviously that's the internet or some subset of the internet. But even inside an organization, to power the way they're doing it and how they're doing it will take huge resources. And we run into these people, they think they now can build it, right? Well, I can just turn this stuff on. I've got, there's a whole bunch of experience and knowledge in what we've done, how we've done it in various places. And for the price we sell it for, there's not an organization that can build it. And then, I would argue their compute power requirement will be equal to our cost. So even just the compute power will cost, not talking about the staff and the ongoing maintenance of software and all kinds of things. But there's always this push because IT people are creative in nature. They want to do stuff. Why would they want to let you buy something that they would prefer to build?
Right.
And so you could build a word processor, yet we all use Microsoft Word. You could build a spreadsheet. You could build all kinds of systems. Right. It's not a value add to do that, and we've proven that again and again. And then the ongoing maintenance costs, right? So somebody decides to build it, they put together a little team, but they don't want to actually maintain it. They just want to build it because that's the fun part. So inside organizations, and it's really funny because we're getting all kinds of new conversations of build versus buy, and most of our enlightened prospects are like, yeah, building sounds fun, but it's really not a good idea.
You do the work, we'll pay for it.
Yeah.
Nice. Now, what do you believe are the most important skills needed to be successful in the industry?
Well, from an entrepreneur's perspective, it's just the gumption to keep going, right? No matter what comes at you, what those challenges are, that's an entrepreneurial view. From a technology perspective, you got to find that product market fit. You think you have it, you got to get clients to validate it. You need referenceable clients, and we have this awesome client, and I get to talk about PepsiCo as a client because they love to talk about it. And they actually had a product vision for what they wanted to do, and it's called Ada. And Stefan Gans, actually, if you look him up on LinkedIn, he's the research and insights leader at PepsiCo, and he published his vision on LinkedIn. A year after we implemented his vision, he published a critique of performance review of what they call Ada, ADA. And Ada Lovelace was actually the first computer programmer in the world. And so they've named our implementation of Lucy Ada. And Ada contains Lucy, but we part of the power of Lucy is you get access to all these other systems. Right. So Lucy is the core asking questions, but no, we've stitched in hundreds of different sources inside Ada, and for tens of thousands of users globally at PepsiCo, and they keep adding use cases and opportunities, and it's really an awesome story. But the key is getting that referenceable client, getting people, and again, there's multiple webinars and other places where we have shown Ada with Pepsi in public. So giving us the rights and opportunities to talk about. But today we have organizations coming on board. They're a 5,000 person company, and 100% of the users will have of the organization will have access to their Lucy implementation, and we're just feeding in more and more data, and the other thing, when we index, we automate the indexing. Nobody has to upload documents. Nobody has to put something in Lucy, but we also index at a scale that can't be done. When I say that manually, I should say can't be done manually. So again, because what we do is we index again, in a PowerPoint, we index every slide,
Right.
not the slide deck. So companies can't even get people to index the slide deck.
Right.
We do it at every slide. So it's a 150 times the work kind of thing. But what that does is allow us to bring back the slide.
Right.
And we do this at scale, and millions of documents. And every night we're processing new ones. We monitor their systems for adds, changes, and deletes. And so if you deleted from your file server, it's gone from Lucy. If you add something or change something, it just gets queued up and brought into Lucy.
Nice. Now, what do you think are the most exciting opportunities in the AI and GPT space right now?
Well, this is where this is Lucy, but it's other things. Find solutions that do what you want to do. Learn about what they can do for your company,
Right.
and again, this stuff is happening everywhere. So depends what you do, right? Again, I talked about medical research.
Right.
I think I do believe that AI will help enable the cure for cancer.
Wow.
Is it the cure for cancer? Absolutely not. I think the data already found it. We just don't know where it is, and it hasn't been synced together. And so that kind of stuff's happening. The GPT stuff that we've talked a lot about, which is, hey, you got to be wary of what and how it's being used. But the power of this concept and tool, but it has to be in smart hands. You talked about the content's dated, the process, and they have the underlying technology behind GPT is open, or is GPT 3.5, and GPT 4 is on the horizon, and it's actually going to be tenfold better.
Wow.
So the data set behind GPT 4 is much better. Technology stack is much improved, and so I'll call it within a year, you're going to see GPT 4 enabling Chat GPT and other things, and we're just enamored by the increase in capability. But this is a tool.
Right.
Both of these are tools, AI and GPT. And so I'm going to ask you a couple questions. We're on a video call right now. We're using the internet to talk to each other.
Right.
Could you tell me what your PoE Ethernet switch is?
I have no idea.
Right, because you don't care.
Yeah,
And can you tell me what kind of braking system is in your car? Right,
No.
you don't care.
Yeah, it just needs
And
to
so
get me
this
from
is
A to
really
B.
right. And I used to use the same example. When you pick up the phone, does it have dial tone?
Right.
You don't care what the switch is. You just care that I can make a call. I can connect the call. I can connect the internet. I can brake when I need to. Right. And so this is what we're talking about, underlying technologies and features.
Right.
Like there are things, and they aren't things. They literally aren't things.
Right.
And so you need really good and smart people to make them into things and consume them in things. Right. And you shouldn't care what they're doing.
Right.
They're black boxes. And I'm not saying let them run free. Understand? Yeah. we have to be conscious of bias and all kinds of other components inside of this. But the reality is, I just want to brake when I need to brake.
Right.
And that's what AI is, right? It's just technology that's enabling whatever I'm trying to do. Right. And so and interestingly enough, every product in the world is just adding the terms GPT because they're quickly trying to make it do something in their software. Right. And that too is going to be a curse, right? Right. Oh, and we have Lucy GPT. And so for Teams or Slack, it's a low entry point. There's no Lucy full product stack. It's just, I can ask questions in Teams or Slack, and it's a lower price point available for 100-person organizations and up. And it's really, really cool. And again, it's actually the piece of the product that we've been using for a year, and completely enabled. But just remember, we're talking about technologies and not products. Right. And products are what companies and people need to buy and use, because it doesn't matter. And the truth is, if GPT is replaced from somebody else, right?
Right.
Doesn't matter who.
Yeah.
Lucy won't look any different. We can just replace it in the background,
Right.
and our product still works, and it will just work better. And I talked about, Watson leaving our product.
Right.
Our clients don't know that because they didn't know or what was in there and didn't care.
Yeah.
It's a function we provide, and it's our job to monitor and track all of the improvements that are available
Right.
and pick the best of. And we swap out pieces and components all the time for newer or better or improved versions of those things. So if our current vendor for a commodity like brakes in my car isn't the current best, I can buy it from the new vendor, and all of a sudden the next round of car now in SAS it's the next revision comes out, we're using a different tech stack or a different component in the tech stack. And our clients pay us to know which is the best and delivers our best service. That's what they care about. Again, why they shouldn't build it. If they build it, they're going to be committed to whatever it is. And that's what we need to talk about. We need to talk about the functions, the business purpose, that use case, the product market fit, however you want to look at it.
Right.
That is what's so important. Not, I have a Mintel 1, 2, 3 switch.
Right. It's funny, as you're talking about all this, I kept thinking all these companies that could actually use this, law firms, like when you mentioned doctors for sure, they've got so many patient files and medicine files and, everything. And, lawyers with 50,000 clients and 50,000 reports and legal cases. I mean, there's so many people that can use this. It's awesome. So you want to tell us anything else about Lucy?
So I was talking to a huge multinational company yesterday, and we were talking with their legal department. And while there are legal use cases that do exist in all kinds of spaces, their use case is actually all of the project teams that have all kinds of contractual obligations all around the world in different cities and different laws and all kinds of spaces. So they can refer to what is the right clause that they need in a new contract, or what are the terms in the existing contracts that they manage. And so it's about not disturbing the legal team for all that little, subject matter expertise, but it's to enable all the people who need access to it to have access to it. Now, again, the legal team would also be able to use Lucy for other purposes, like where do we have this clause? Can I pull it? And so can I be more efficient, or those kinds of things. So the use cases in HR, learning management, we do a lot in helping people find who is the expert inside a company. Again, lots of marketing, research integration. Think about this: a global manufacturing company with manufacturing plants all over the world that has the plant manuals, how to operate the plant, how to maintain the manufacturing equipment, how to service it if it breaks, is a little closet filled with manuals. So the engineers in the plant, something breaks, they go into this little closet, they start looking it up, they go try things, they go back, they go try things, they go back. And of course, that's in France, it's in French, in Italy, it's in Italian, and all kinds of things. And so, again, Lucy just reads, watches, and listens to all those things.
Wow. And
you can then ask questions of Lucy of how to fix, how to do it, whatever. So Lucy, someone put aircraft engine maintenance manuals in. And again, Lucy has read, watched, listened to all of the components in there. You ask a question, how to do this, what to do, up comes the right chart, right description, and Lucy drives you right, through it. It's a big structured PDF, right?
Wow.
That's what we're using. In our demo, we put the Tesla user manual in, we put the Rivian user manual. So if you ask a question, how do I restart the Rivian? Whatever those things are, up again, it's just a 200, 300 page PDF, and up comes the right page that says, here's how to do that. Wow. And it's just amazing. And so Lucy's limitations aren't about technology and implementation. Lucy's limitations from our perspective as the entrepreneurs is our go-to-market strategy, right? I can't attack every market that Lucy could be valued in, right, even though you can call us and we'll sell it to her. Mm-hmm. It's about, we have to be, we're focusing on Fortune 1000, big companies, Lucy GPT allowing us to go a little bit on the smaller side, mm-hmm, as an intro or light product. And then, and again, enabled in Teams, enabled in Slack, but Lucy is yet to find a challenge. We're doing pharma. We're working for pharma companies. We're working for private equity, where they have huge repositories of deals and documents and things, patent searching and patent value. People just throw challenges at Lucy, and we always we get a little bit of a light test, and right, she flies. And our methodology is, hey, let's show you what Lucy does. Right. Send us 10 documents. We'll put them in our Lucy and show her what you could ask questions of your documents, and then let's get going. Nice.
Oh, she sounds amazing.
She's my best friend.
Oh, well, that's awesome, though. Well, thanks again for being on the show. Again, that was Dan Mallin. Thanks for listening to Successful Minds with Patty B. Never miss an episode by subscribing to the show. So thank you again.
Thank you for listening to Successful Minds with your host, Patricia Baronowski-Schneider. Please leave your feedback and visit strategicadvisorboard.com to get the latest and greatest business advisement on the planet. Follow us on social media for updates, and we'll see you on the next episode.